be over you in just about 30 seconds from me.
It was an unforgettable moment from the dawn of the space age. A carefully rehearsed operation to retrieve America's second man in space, Gus Grissom, and his historic Mercury space capsule, Liberty Bell 7. A picture-perfect operation until the last minute. The hatch blew open. Seawater flooded the capsule. An American hero struggled to save his life. Inches above the water, a Marine pilot fought to stay aloft and hold on to the capsule. But a ton of water proved too much. Grissom was pulled to safety. But just minutes after touching outer space, Liberty Bell 7 was swallowed by the Atlantic. Lost at sea, 3 miles deep.
What? Okay, RD. Go ahead, boom up. Boom it up.
Now, 38 years later, a team of underwater explorers prepare to set sail from the port of Cape Canaveral, Florida, on their own high-stakes Mercury mission.
Okay, boom it up. Okay, boom it up.
Their vehicle, a high-tech underwater search and retrieval robot. Their destination, a featureless stretch of ocean, 100 miles north of the Bahamas. Their mission, to find and recover Gus Grissom's lost space capsule, to raise Liberty Bell 7. The story of Liberty Bell 7 and America's quest for the moon all began here, on this fire-scarred patch of concrete, back in 1961. For more than a decade, Kurt Newport has pursued a personal quest to recover America's second manned spacecraft, Gus Grissom's Liberty Bell.
Things were a lot different back then with spaceflight. I mean, this, I call this like backyard or garage spaceflight. These are very simple missiles. This was the state of the art in missile technology in 1961. I mean, this was the best that we had.
Today, Gus Grissom's invaluable contributions to America's space program have been largely forgotten.
Grissom was pretty high in the pecking order. Many people thought Grissom was the best stick and rudder man of all of the Mercury astronauts.
Perhaps by finding Liberty Bell, Kurt's quest will cast new light on a man who would lose his life reaching for the moon. On the docks next to the Kennedy Space Center, Kurt directs the search team as they prepare to launch a robot to the bottom of the ocean. Kurt has spent over 20 years exploring deep waters around the world, working on wrecked planes, undersea cables, and offshore oil rigs. But this job is different.
I don't think there's any way we are coming back into Florida without that thing on deck. We got to find him. That's the main thing.
Okay, now I want you to start hydraulics.
For the first time, Kurt is leading his own expedition.
Good, now rotate.
Putting his reputation and his career on the line.
I think it's landed just like it landed 38 years ago. That's what I think. I guess we'll find out who's right.
It will take Kurt and the crew aboard the workboat Needham Tide 24 hours to reach the waters where Liberty Bell splashed down. A trip that took Gus Grissom just 15 minutes. The flight of Mercury Redstone 4 carried Grissom and his capsule 300 miles off the Florida coast. But the exact site of the splashdown is impossible to pin down. Liberty Bell was tracked by radar, but as the main parachute opened, the capsule began to fall below the radar ceiling. Splashdown coordinates represent the tracker's best estimates. Kurt's research has focused on 8 conflicting navigation fixes. The result? A search area 3 miles wide and 8 miles long. 24 square miles of open ocean water.
The basic bottom line of something like this is, in my opinion, what you want to do is stack the decks and load the dice in your favor so that you're not playing fair. You're searching a big enough area that you're pretty sure it's going to be in there somewhere. Now, obviously, there has to be some realism to this because we can't search the whole Atlantic Ocean.
The initial deep-water reconnaissance mission will be conducted by Ocean Explorer 6000, a state-of-the-art side-scan sonar. For extra insurance, the high-tech system gets an old-fashioned good luck charm. Lamb chop.
Not taking any chances here. We need some serious divine guidance.
For crew, Kurt has turned to people he trusts, offshore specialists from Oceaneering International. To examine the ocean floor at these depths, the sonar must be sent to the bottom, 15,000 feet down. Signals will be relayed back to the ship via an umbilical cord more than 4 miles long. Armored with a triple layer of steel cables, the tether can stand over 20 tons of shock. The team will spend days towing the sonar through a series of 9 search lines, scanning an area the size of Manhattan for an object little larger than a refrigerator. They call the process mowing the lawn. Gravity will pull the sonar to the bottom, but it will take 4 hours to reach the ocean floor, 3 miles down, a half-mile deeper than the Titanic. Somewhere down below lies a 9-foot titanium nose cone, a needle lost in a 24 square mile haystack 38 years ago.
In Search of Liberty Bell 7 is sponsored in part by the new Lincoln LS, Lincoln American Luxury. By Fidelity Investments, we help you invest responsibly. Visit us at fidelity.com. And by Hewlett-Packard, the original Silicon Valley startup will act like one again. Watch.
Leather, adrenaline. The new Lincoln LS, Motor Trend Car of the Year.
Introducing Power Street, where you could win free trades for life. Visit fidelity.com for details. Power Street, online trading gets personal. Get in-depth market analysis and stock picks from Lehman Brothers on Power Street. Power Street, online trading at fidelity.com.
It's the most remarkable garage in the world. The garage that invented an industry, that reinvented work with a few simple rules. Work quickly, no bureaucracy, just invent. For 6 decades, this garage has been the workshop of the world's inventors. It will be still, because the company that began in this garage will return to the rules of this garage. Watch.
You are watching the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
What are your favorite moments of the millennium? A special time with family? A celebration with friends? Or one of mankind's greatest journeys? Now you can have them all on one special Kodak picture CD that's yours free. It contains all your Kodak pictures from your latest roll of film, plus excerpts from life's collection of the greatest pictures of the 20th century. Look for this free, limited-time offer at participating Kodak retailers.
You're watching the Discovery Channel. From the Discovery Channel and ABC News, Discovery Newsbreak.
Good evening. Scientists studying the DNA of simple bacteria say they have found the minimum number of essential genes needed to maintain life. That is the first step towards artificially creating a living organism from scratch. Some scientists are calling for a public debate to explore the ethics of attempting to create life in the lab. That's Discovery Newsbreak.
The Meta 5090 copier with digital time lens technology from FKM Copier Products. Imagine programming complex copying jobs from your PC. Simply program, print a barcode, scan, and walk away. Anyone can do it. For a personal demonstration, call FKM Copier Products. Knowledgeable people you can rely on for guaranteed service and support. More choices, better choices. Meta from FKM Copier Products.
Of the space age. The world was racing to the moon. And it looked like America was losing the race. April 12, 1961. A Russian R-7 missile. 20 rocket engines generating 1 million pounds of thrust hurled cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin around the globe and into history. The Soviet Union hailed the first man in space as a triumph for communism. In these dark days of the Cold War, America's brightest heroes were 7 men chosen to meet the challenge of the Russians.
These, ladies and gentlemen, are the nation's Mercury astronauts.
The pioneers of Project Mercury: Wally Schirra, Alan Shepard, John Glenn, Scott Carpenter, Deke Slayton, Gordon Cooper, and Virgil I. Grissom, Gus. While most of the astronauts enjoyed the public attention, Grissom always seemed uneasy in the spotlight.
There was never any question in my mind about volunteering. It was just, could I get in on the program?
Behind his reserved facade, Gus Grissom was among the most competitive of a hard-driving crew.
Gus was a go-getter. He didn't talk a lot, but when he did talk, it was worth listening to. And although we were all cut from the same cloth, he had his strengths that were unequaled by any of the other guys.
Over 2,000 hours flying jet aircraft, 100 combat missions in Korea, a degree in mechanical engineering. When opportunity knocked, Gus jumped at the chance to add rockets to his resume.
My father loved. He thought that this was just one of the greatest things that ever happened. My mother, of course, didn't understand this at all. And back in 1959, when they were selected, people thought this idea of going into space was just ludicrous.
Before launching a man on a rocket, NASA had serious challenges to overcome.
I recall very well being at the Cape prior to any of our flights and watching this rocket take off and blow up. And my, are we really going to fly on one of those things?
But by spring of 1961, NASA's single-engine Redstone rocket was certified for manned flight.
This Redstone missile is the center of world attention as Commander Alan B. Shepard Jr. watches some final preparations.
The first man to test the booster was Navy pilot Alan Shepard. Barely 3 weeks after Yuri Gagarin's flight, 9:34 a.m., May 5th, 1961.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition, and liftoff.
Alan Shepard's 15-minute ballistic journey, a 300-mile arc through space to the Atlantic, was a small step compared to the Russians' orbital flight. But it triggered an explosion of national pride, from the White House to Main Street. America was back in the space race and eager to catch up. Next to carry the torch would be Air Force pilot Gus Grissom. His mission, the final test of a new, improved Mercury capsule. With his engineering background, Gus had been the astronaut's voice throughout development of the cockpit. Like each of the Mercury 7, he tagged his capsule with the number 7 and a nickname, Liberty Bell. He even added a painted-on crack. Gus spearheaded the test pilot's campaign for a joystick for manual control. And his capsule featured the first picture window for a panoramic view. But Liberty Bell's most important innovation was a new emergency exit, an explosive safety hatch that could be blown open at the push of a button. "3:30 a.m., July 21st, 1961. Cape Canaveral, Launch Complex 5. Captain Gus Grissom prepared to test the improved Mercury capsule with his life.
I think everyone has a certain amount of fear of things that are unknown, and I certainly do. But I'm used to this sort of thing, so I accept it. I will be scared, and let it go at that.
On top of the Redstone gantry, 59 feet above the concrete blast pad, Grissom squeezed into his ship with the help of his backup, John Glenn, and the pad crew, led by Günter Wendt.
The Mercury spacecraft was very, very compact, you might call it. We used to kid it and says, okay, you get in with a shoehorn and you come out with a can opener.
For only the third time in history, a man prepared to ride a rocket into space.
You don't put a man on the end of a rocket in 1961 and not be nervous, because if you weren't nervous, you didn't know what the hell the story was all about. I wouldn't say he was afraid, but if he wasn't somewhat afraid, again, he didn't understand the problem, and Gus understood the problem.
3:58 a.m. All systems go. 3 hours to final countdown. The Ocean Explorer sonar is approaching the bottom, 15,000 feet down. Inside the sonar van, the search goes on 24 hours a day. Packed with sensitive electronics, the van is headquarters for the mission's brain trust. Kurt Newport, Richard Daly, Steve Wright, and Mark Wilson.
Well, unfortunate, there's a lot more feature to the bottom than we originally had anticipated. Yeah. Gives us the possibility of missing it. You know, if the target landed in one of these ravines, it would be hard to detect.
Like any sonar, the side-scanning Ocean Explorer sees with sound. With each pass, acoustic signals sweep the ocean floor over 500 yards to either side. But a blind spot more than 300 feet wide runs right down the middle. Enough room to hide a fleet of space capsules. A computer converts the underwater echoes into the sonar display. Mud and sand read in shades of gray. Harder, more reflective targets show up as bright blips or black shadows.
If standing upright or laying on its side, you'll see an actual shadow behind it, just like we're looking at with the sand waves.
Yeah.
So you can measure the width, the length, and the height of the shadow, and then the program will come back and tell you exactly how big that object is.
Each pass through the target area takes 8 hours. And trailing over 20,000 feet of cable adds even more time. Over 6 hours just to turn the boat around. Even working around the clock, the team can do no more than 2 search lines a day.
Plunger in one corner, so it would have done around in a circle like that. This is a nice target here. That's a good one.
As hard targets begin to appear, they're logged into a computer database.
Looks like a very good target.
I mean, it's in some geology, but it's pretty hard.
Then, the last thing they want to see. Flat lines. Under the merciless pressure 3 miles down, Ocean Explorer's sonar has fried out.
Hello, Bridge. Bridge. Yeah, when we get this towfish up close to the surface and start to get it behind the boat, I'm going to want you to turn into the seas and give us as dry and smooth a ride as we can, okay?
The boat carries a fully equipped workshop. Still, it may take days just to isolate the breakdown. And only then can they begin repairs.
And nothing like this is ever cut and dry. I mean, there are set procedures for doing things, but in other cases, I mean, you sort of wing it and use your intuition and base everything on your experience. Let's see.
Preparation is the only factor in Kurt's control. He spent years working out the variables, charting wind and currents, plotting the physics of the sinking capsule, even designing specialized grappling equipment to lift Liberty Bell from the ocean floor. Malfunctioning sonar is frustrating, but it's only a delay, not a defeat. 3 days later, after round-the-clock repairs and a long plunge to the bottom, Ocean Explorer is back at work, hunting for history at the bottom of the Atlantic.
Now, we just found 2 small targets that are pretty hot, that are no geology around and a flat surface.
Stand by one.
The team begins to review an unexpected flood of promising sonar hits.
88 contacts are considered targets.
It's not too many, we can handle it, right?
4 days, it's 22 targets a day.
No, I don't
it's
think
just
so.
a target every hour.
The search area turns out to be a 24-square-mile box full of red herrings.
Of course, I think a lot of them are probably geology, but maybe not. I mean, I don't know.
To send the remotely operated vehicle Magellan to the bottom to examine every target would take weeks. To narrow the field, they must try to decipher which sonar contacts are rocks and natural features, and which might be man-made.
And Mark and I right now are going through and eliminating what we consider geology after further investigations and interpretations. And what we do is we try to prioritize them so that we don't waste a lot of time when we do dive, because we have a limited amount of diving time. Because like we say, you don't want the ROV down on the bottom looking around for an hour and then find a rock. We want to find something a little more substantial.
The ocean will give it up when the ocean's ready to give it up.
We'll give it up when we decide it's going to give it up.
When it's decided that we've suffered enough.
Right.
Prioritizing calls for a cross between hard science and human intuition. Striking the wrong target off the list will condemn Kurt's quest to failure.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one. I do get some say in this, right?
Yeah. It's an isolated, hard target. Nothing scattered around it.
But you got that pretty nice one that you showed me last night.
Yeah,
at the end of the line.
Yeah,
That's a nice one. I mean, it's in some geology, but it's pretty hard.
It is. And the next one is right behind it.
Anybody want coffee or anything?
I do.
It looks like geology to me.
1-8.
Days of debate narrow the list from 88 contacts to just 16. For the first dive, Kurt picks a cluster of promising sonar hits. The first in line, target 71.
Leather, adrenaline, the new Lincoln LS, Motor Trend Car of the Year.
You are watching the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
Hey guys, no running!
Mommy, we missed it! Jimmy, you wouldn't have missed us if your mommy had Web TV. She could type in the show you want and tell Web TV to record us just by pushing one holly jolly button.
I'd run away from home.
And live in a hole.
Yeah!
Mommy!
You're watching the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
Financial goals require solutions. Dreams deserve dedication. Success demands performance. If there's something you want to achieve, the principal has one word of advice. Plan ahead, get ahead. The Principal Financial Group.
You are watching the Discovery Channel. Explore your world. Far above the Arctic Circle, 5,000 miles from civilization, a 20,000-year-old question has finally been raised.
There is a very large animal here.
It's not a movie. It's not fantasy. It's the incredible reality of raising an ancient beast. Coming March 2000. Join the journey, share the discovery, and watch with the world journey far. Dig deep. Think big. As science attempts the impossible. Racing the Mammoth. A Watch with the World event. Exclusively on the Discovery Channel.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Liftoff. Taking control and Roger, this is Liberty Bell 7. The clock is operating. Loud and clear, Jose. Don't cry too much. Okie doke.
by 78,000 pounds of thrust, Gus Grissom headed for outer space.
Okay, it's a nice ride up to now.
You get in an airplane, you turn on the afterburner, and that thing lights off. That's what he was doing with the Redstone rocket. You light that damn thing, and he's on the end of a torch. That's exciting, no matter how you cut it.
Okay, the fuel is go, about 1 1/4 Gs. Cabin pressure is just coming off the peg. The oxygen is go, with 26 amps.
Flying 7 times the speed of sound, Gus took control of the joystick and through Liberty Bell's picture window saw a panorama never seen before.
We're at 0 G and turning around, and the sun is really bright.
I could see the sun shining through the window, and I was so fascinated by this view out the window that I had difficulty concentrating on the instruments. I kept wanting to peek out the window.
Oh, boy. Oh, Roger, you're on the window. Are you trying a yaw maneuver? I'm trying a yaw maneuver, and I'm on the window. It's such a fascinating view out the window, you just can't help but look out that way. I understand.
Barely 5 minutes after blastoff, it was already time to prepare for re-entry.
Joe Jettison is armed. Joe Jettison is armed, going to fleet command.
Plummeting to Earth at 7,500 feet per second, Liberty Bell burned into the atmosphere. As the speeding capsule fell from its apogee, gravity and momentum built to crushing force.
Okay, the G's are starting to build. Roger. G's are building. We're up to 6. There's 9. There's about 10.
He did everything perfectly. The rocket did everything perfectly. The spacecraft performed perfectly. The parachute came out, and there he was.
There goes the main chute. It's reefed. Main chute is good. Main chute is good. Rate of descent coming down to, there's 40 feet per second.
Offshore, Marine helicopters lifted off from the carrier Randolph to pick up Grissom in his capsule. The first chopper to reach Liberty Bell was piloted by Jim Lewis.
It was in the air when we spotted it, and we had contact with Gus soon after that.
You got ahead just about 020, I think. And getting ready for impact here. You can see the water coming right on up. Liberty Bell 7, this is 9 card file. We have your entry in the water will be over you in just about 30 seconds. I have activated the rescue aids. The reserve chute has jettisoned. In fact, I can see it in the water, I think. See something around the water. And the whip antenna should be up.
As they circled the capsule, the copter's crew prepared to latch on their recovery hook and haul NASA's second manned spacecraft to safety. Then something went wrong. A torrent of water flooded the capsule. Grissom fought his way out. The copter crew raced to hook on.
And by the time we got there, the capsule was basically underwater, and the only thing sticking out of the water was the loop itself.
The recovery line snapped taut, pulling the helicopter wheels right into the water. Waterlogged, Liberty Bell weighed over 4,000 pounds, more than the Sikorsky Seahorse could safely handle. Flashing Flashing lights warned of engine overload.
I had an indicator light in the cockpit that there were metal shavings in the oil system. We'd have about 5 minutes of power left before the engine failed.
Meanwhile, with seawater flooding his pressure suit, Grissom was fighting for his life.
Now Gus is madder than hell because he's about to drown. And he's waving and screaming, and they're thinking that he's telling them he's okay, and he wasn't okay.
As one chopper struggled to pull the capsule away, another swooped in to save the astronaut. And then, the battle was over. Man and spacecraft headed their separate ways. Grissom bound for safety. Liberty Bell 7 bound for the bottom of the ocean. The success of Kurt Newport's mission hangs on the end of a line. The steel-reinforced umbilical cable that connects Needham Tide to the ROV Magellan. Magellan is one of only a handful of machines built to withstand the crushing pressures of the ocean at the depths where Liberty Bell lies. The remotely operated vehicle features a video camera housed in a titanium shell, pressurized halogen lamps, and high-performance hydraulics for strength and minute control, even with 3.5 tons of force bearing down on every square inch. Every system must check out.
That short two-piece.
At the bottom, Magellan will be 4 hours away from human help.
Mark, any hydraulics up? 50% ahead, 100% up on that heading.
Operating the ROV at these depths will be like flying a 2.5-ton kite on a 5-mile line.
Hold that head. Ready? All right, yep. Come loose. Got it.
Rate of descent, 60 feet per minute. 15,000 feet to go.
Introducing Power Street, where you could win free trades for life. Visit Fidelity.com for details. Power Street, online trading gets personal. Get in-depth market analysis and stock picks from Lehman Brothers on Power Street. Power Street, online trading at Fidelity.com.
You are watching the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
Leather, adrenaline, the new Lincoln LS, Motor Trend Car of the Year.
All right.
Bye.
You ever gonna give that present to Sue?
Yeah, soon.
See you later. You ever gonna give that present to Sue?
You gonna pose for me now? Bye-bye!
The new Kodak Advantix camera. So sleek, so small.
What are you doing here?
So easy.
This is a great camera. Did you know that I wanted one of these for my birthday?
The toughest part is giving it away.
You're watching the Discovery Channel.
It's the most remarkable garage in the world. The garage that invented an industry, that reinvented work with a few simple rules. Work quickly, no bureaucracy, just invent. For 6 decades, this garage has been the workshop of the world's inventors. It will be still, because the company that began in this garage will return to the rules of this garage. Watch.
Starting tomorrow, go on the inside with the premiere of Thrills of a Theme Park.
Universal Studios Hollywood.
This is the hottest flight in the world, and I'll be back.
And on Tuesday, it's the premiere of 777, Jet of the Future. Wednesday, Submarine Hunter. Thursday, the premiere of Demolitions. And Friday, Carrier Fortress at Sea. Every weeknight at 8, Eastern and Pacific. Get the story from On the Inside on the Discovery Channel.
The most unusual thing about the deliveries is just the fact that they're all so excited to see me. No joke, little kids will be bouncing up and down, and all in unison they yell, "Hi, Peach Guy!" I like being called a Peach Guy, as long as it's I'm in my Peach uniform.
People think you're a park ranger?
A park ranger? I've never been called that before.
Months, we'll be voting on something called the Fair Insurance Responsibility Act. So I looked it up. Well, there's nothing fair about it. It encourages 2 lawsuits for every accident, makes insurance fraud easier, and will increase our rates. Drunk and uninsured drivers can file suits hurting law-abiding citizens. It's all lawyer speak for money, money, money. Personal injury lawyers who wrote this law gave it a misleading name, but they can't trick me. I'm voting no on 30 and 31.
"15,600 feet down, the remotely operated vehicle Magellan prowls a landscape as alien and unforgiving as the surface of the moon. Miles above, Kurt and his team begin the painstaking business of tracking down 16 targets, scouring the ocean floor for an object not much larger than a deck chair on the Titanic. The first pictures from the deep come with bad news attached. The Atlantic has already left Magellan half crippled.
We've got a problem with the sonar. Without the sonar, we can't really do any useful searching down here. We'd just be flying around blind.
Rough seas only make the situation worse. In these waves, hauling the ROV up for repairs could snap the tether and send Magellan to the bottom for good.
And we've got all these targets, and we can't see them. So who knows? Maybe we won't be able to see them at all. I mean, I don't know. We'll just have to see how it goes. Not a good day. Ain't life at sea fun?
Kurt decides to keep hunting for Target 71. But without sonar, they can only search as far as Magellan can see, 25 feet ahead.
Okay, you see that right there? Wait a minute. That is. What?
A few small chunks of debris catch Kurt's eye.
See, look.
As Magellan climbs a gentle incline, the debris gets larger.
It's got some height to it.
Against all odds.
Oh my God. This is it.
The first dive, the first target.
I don't believe it.
I was supposed to go call some friends at 8 o'clock.
This never happens.
Oh, yeah, it does.
It never
Sure
happens
it
to me.
happens. What?
You never happens to me.
You doubted me the whole time.
First target. The first target.
What did we tell him, Mark?
Look at
you have little faith.
You have little faith.
Liberty Bell 7. Gus Grissom's lost capsule.
Look at that. That is absolutely amazing. Jeez, that was, man, look at that. Congratulations, we just rewrote space history.
That's good.
All right?
First shot on the basket.
I don't believe it. I don't
Isn't that beautiful? All right.
Congratulations, Kurt.
I don't believe it. I tried calling Sarah. She's not at home.
Just see the shingles on it.
You see that? That's a landing bag strap right there.
Yeah.
It's perfectly. Look, you can see the writing on the side of United States. See? Okay, you see that right there? Wait. It's a periscope. So the flap is still open. United States. It's perfect. It's perfect. Look at the strap sticking out from the landing bag. Look at that. That is absolutely amazing. Jeez, that was, God, look at the lettering of it, man. I've been telling people for years you'd be able to see that. They go, it's like they didn't believe me.
Pull back. Pull back and get the whole thing.
A relic from man's first steps into space seizes their imagination, looking much as it did on the morning it was lost.
You want to bring him up to the bottom?
Yeah, I'll just leave him there. Okay. We're cool where we are.
Now you can see the hatch opening. Oh, I know what, you know what that is? That's what's left of the Berlin heat shield. All that stuff, that's all pilot collusion.
Liberty Bell sits on the rotting remains of its heat shield, source of the debris that led them to the find.
Oh, look at that. Look to the left. You can see the crack. I think that's the crack painted down the side of it. It's interesting. I wonder why this is. What? This was normally all black. I wonder what that's. Maybe that was painted or something, that part. That's stuff on the top. See that? That's the recovery loop, right there. The Dacron recovery loop.
I'm just trying to get this so you can have a...
Yeah, get as much of it as you can.
The sea gives them barely an hour to examine the find. Worsening waves make it impossible to hold their position. The tether becomes a dangerous drag on the ship. Kurt gives the order to haul up Magellan, despite the desire to stay.
I just can't believe it. I can't. I mean, it's like unreal because I'm looking at it and I'm seeing it. It's there, you know. But it's like I cannot believe it. It's like this can't be happening.
Did your dream come true?
Yes, it's absolutely a dream come true. And what's just amazing is, after a while, you know, you doubt yourself so much that you don't know what you're talking about. It was right at the wind-corrected location for the radar's positions, just like I said it would be. But sometimes it's hard to believe even yourself, because you never want to think you're that good, and nobody's that good. I even still don't think I am. I guess maybe we got lucky. Maybe it was my turn to have some good luck.
On the sea, luck is a precious commodity. Halfway through hauling up Magellan, the tether is strained to the max. 8-foot swells tear at the cable with tons of force. Then, disaster strikes.
I'll stop, Mark, I'll stop.
The steel-reinforced tether jumps the feed wheel and begins to scrape against the crane.
Hey, Dave, I gotta
actually what gives it strength. So this is a very dangerous thing right now. I'm very nervous about this.
A mass of tangled wires must be cut away before the tether can be teased back onto the winch. Meanwhile, in heavy seas, 10,000 feet down, Magellan hangs by a frayed thread.
This is how you lose these things. We got bad weather, with the cables messed up. I mean, this is a very bad situation.
Two hours of emergency surgery. Racing to cut away snarled cables at the risk of weakening the core tether. Then, the worst.
Lost the vehicle. What happened? Cable snapped. Hey, Will. I guess you heard.
Now what? That's a good question. We'll have to get our fish back, put a new umbilical on, go back and get it.
14 years of work and dreams. 2.5 weeks at sea. 1 Mercury space capsule. 1 underwater robot. Lost at sea. 3 miles deep.
What are your favorite moments of the millennium? A special time with family? A celebration with friends? Or one of mankind's greatest journeys? Now you can have them all on one special Kodak picture CD that's yours free. It contains all your Kodak pictures from your latest roll of film, plus excerpts from life's collection of the greatest pictures of the 20th century. Look for this free, limited-time offer at participating Kodak retailers.
You are watching the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
As where it comes from.
You're watching the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
It's a hot one out there once again.
Are we attempting to adjust our weather? Are our actions causing Mother Nature to strike back? The world searches for answers as mankind battles against nature's wrath. Next Sunday at 8 Eastern and Pacific, only on the Discovery Channel.
Two months have passed. At last, the team is headed back to the waters where Liberty Bell lies. To help the recovery, Kurt has brought in a larger, stronger ship, Ocean Project.
This is like in the movie Jaws when Roy Snyder says we need a bigger boat. Okay, we got a bigger boat.
With hurricane season on the way, time is against them.
I just want to get it done and see the thing on deck and make sure it's properly taken care of, and I'm sure it'll be a very, very rewarding experience.
Up.
Replacing the lost ROV, Magellan called for a crash program.
Got crane on?
The crane's on, we're running.
No other vehicle that could stand the crushing pressures 3 miles down was available.
Okay, Artie, go ahead and boom up.
Boom it up.
So a new deep-water submersible had to be built. Ocean Discovery.
We got a telescope in.
Usually it takes 6 months to assemble one of these high-tech robots.
Okay, boom it up.
Okay, boom it up.
Ocean Discovery was put together in 6 weeks.
Hydraulics up.
But the new ROV has never been tested under the torturous conditions it will face at the bottom. Any bugs in the system will be brutally exposed.
George, cutting loose. Okay, you're free, Ron. Start driving out on that heading.
On camera, this is 19 July.
During the ROV's 4-hour plunge to the bottom, Kurt joins 2 new members of the crew to study film from the flight of Liberty Bell 7.
Günter was one of the latter people to be near it on the ground, and I was one of the latter people to be near it in the water.
In 1961, Jim Lewis was the helicopter pilot who battled the Atlantic for possession of Liberty Bell.
And here we are.
38 years later, rehashing the whole thing.
Günter Wendt was NASA's pad leader, the man in charge of packing Grissom safely into his capsule.
And I was 38 at that time.
In the early 60s, I mean, Project Mercury was a really, really big deal. I mean, it's always been a big deal, but I mean, the astronauts were like the new gladiators. I mean, they were like every kid was interested in astronauts.
Yeah.
Despite his role in the recovery, Jim has never before seen NASA's raw footage of the fight to save the capsule.
It's wonderful.
Why does that show?
It felt so good to see that lift off.
I don't know.
5 desperate minutes captured on film. 5 minutes that changed their lives and the destiny of the space race.
Sit here and watch this, trying to make you think that we're so close.
Yeah, it does. It looks so very close.
Yeah, it comes floating out. But
that's the dye marker canister. See all the green dye?
Yeah, okay, that's the dye marker. That came out.
See how it's sinking upright? That's why I always figured it would be upright in the bottom, because it went down upright.
It seems like a long time here, and it seemed like a long time then. To have been just short of 5 minutes. But like we said before, all the contingency procedures worked. Everything really did work that day, except the hatch. We got everything back that we needed that was really important. And that was a success in its own right.
There's no picture of the hatch blowing open. But if Kurt recovers the capsule, he will bring back its pilot observation camera and perhaps film that will solve the mystery behind the hatch. The loss of Liberty Bell cast a shadow over the rest of Grissom's career. The press dubbed him the hard luck astronaut. For Gus and others, the incident would never find a satisfactory explanation.
I was just laying there minding my own business, and then pow! The hatch went. I looked up and I saw nothing but blue sky and water starting to come in over the sill. So I topped my helmet off, and the only 2 moves I remember making was topping my helmet off and grabbing the instrument panel and pulling myself out. I only remember grabbing the instrument panel. I don't even remember going out the door.
He was convinced there was some malfunction. Unfortunately, we couldn't prove that. No matter what we did, when we ran literally hundreds of tests post-flight on other spacecraft and on the system, and we couldn't make it happen. We couldn't make it malfunction.
The hatch was sealed by 70 titanium bolts seated in an explosive gasket. A push-button plunger near the astronaut's elbow detonated the charge. Some think that in the cramped Mercury capsule, Grissom might have hit the plunger accidentally without ever knowing it. But every other astronaut's experience with the hatch would only back up Grissom's testimony.
Every time the astronaut hit that damn plunger, he got a wound on his wrist. Gus did not have a wound on his wrist.
The recoil of that plunger cut through the glove of my spacesuit and cut into my hand. When Gus came aboard the carrier after my recovery, he'd been in Hawaii, I think, he had the biggest smile on his face when I showed him this cut hand because there was not a mark on his body after his problem with his hatch. So he couldn't have hit it with an elbow or a leg or something. He would have had a terrible bruise. But I said, Gus, look at my hand. It really got hurt. He knew exactly what I was telling him.
Some people are concerned about getting the hatch and proving one way or another what made it blow. It isn't important to me. I'm convinced that Gus was not responsible.
NASA's extensive inquiry would exonerate Grissom completely. Still, the hatch would return to haunt him. 5 years later, in Apollo 1. Midnight on the Atlantic. Hours after launch, over 4 miles of cable have played out without a hitch. "15,800 feet down, the new ROV, Ocean Discovery, is closing in on what should be Target 71, Liberty Bell.
Trail of debris should be from your heading down to the right.
It's been 38 years since Jim Lewis last saw Gus Grissom's spaceship. It's been 2 months since Kurt Newport found it.
I got it dead ahead at about 15 feet.
Ready for this, Jim?
Wait is not over. At the coordinates for Target 71, nothing appears on the screen.
Right, it's northeast of Target 71.
Oh, but not northeast of this position.
No, negative. Northeast of Target 71.
Okay, so it's southeast of here.
Roger that.
While satellite signals enable the searchers to pinpoint their surface position, the location of the ROV is less precise. Drift due to underwater currents and the miles of cable that link the submersible to the mothership add an element of guesswork to calculating Liberty Bell's exact location.
And so what we're doing now is we've recalculated, taking the raw position of the side scan data, applied the offset, and applied our layback, which was considerable, 7,000 meters. And we're moving in a direction that's northeast of our projected target of Target 71, the one that we originally had put in. We're doing it in small increments of 100 meters at a time.
Dazed and confused. Dazed and confused. I want to, if we're not going to come up with this for a little while, I'd like to jump another 75 meters west. That at least be a little work.
They scour the bottom for 48 hours. But the capsule remains lost from sight.
The correct 71 position, I think, was this one right here. And then you go south, basically 75 meters, 80 meters, and then start heading back east to this point.
Let's try that program.
Go 100 meters, track along 100 meters. Make a search in that area, in the corner. Come down south, as you say, 75 to 80 meters. Make a search in that area and then track to the east.
best targets were at the original launch point, so if we work our way back that way, we may see some other things we didn't see this morning. Give it a shot.
Let's do it to it. Okay.
I don't understand how we could be on this thing and take a fix and go down there and search as much as we've been searching and not find it. That's what I don't understand. We have the coordinates of the DGPS fix he took when we were diving on the spacecraft, and we've been there and it's not there. That's what I don't understand. It's a very, as Steve was saying, it's a very simple thing to do. But you have to go, I mean, to me, you have to go by what we've seen. We've been down there, we've driven around, and it's not there. I mean, we're on our third day here, and we have found nothing. And I'm open to any possibilities at this point in time.
The search for Target 71 creeps slowly, 600 meters to the north. But after 5 days at sea, the mission is running on borrowed time.
In Search of Liberty Bell 7 is sponsored in part by the Kodak Advantix system, a better way to take pictures further, and by Glaxo, welcome makers of Relenza.
All right.
Bye.
You ever gonna get that present to Sue?
Yeah, soon.
See you later. You ever gonna get that present to Sue?
You gonna pose for me now? Way up high!
The new Kodak Advantix camera. So sleek, so small.
What are you doing here?
So easy.
This is a great camera. Did you know that I wanted one of these for my birthday?
The toughest part is giving it away.
Who is it?
It's me, influenza. You know, the flu. Coming in.
He's influenza.
How are you?
And he'll make you miserable with symptoms like fatigue, high fever, cough, headache, and body aches.
People say I have an infectious laugh. What do you think?
Introducing Relenza, a new prescription medicine to help you start feeling better sooner. The virus that causes the flu lives in the lungs.
Go away.
If you think you have symptoms of the flu, talk to your doctor right away.
I'm not bugging you, am I?
Relenza is an antiviral medicine that's inhaled. You should be shown how to use the inhaler. Those with chronic lung disease or asthma may experience wheezing and should consult their doctor. Side effects occurred in 3% or less of patients and included nausea, diarrhea, and sinusitis.
Soup. Yeah, that'll do the trick. Soup.
If your doctor says it's influenza, ask about Relenza.
You are watching the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
This is the workshop of radicals. A one-car garage where two young men with $500 in venture capital invented an industry. Their idea was simple. Invent something useful and significant, or it doesn't leave the garage. The idea was so simple, it was radical. Today, the company of Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard is being reinvented. The original startup will act like one again. Watch.
You are watching the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
Introducing Power Street, where you could win free trades for life. Visit Fidelity.com for details. Power Street, online trading gets personal. Get in-depth market analysis and stock picks from Lehman Brothers on Power Street. Power Street, online trading at Fidelity.com.
You are watching the Discovery Channel. Explore your world. Go behind the scenes into the FBI's ultra-secret crime lab as actual agents explain the techniques and tricks used to capture some of the most elusive killers ever. The FBI Files, coming up next on the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
Reliable, proven, trusted.
digital technology from META and FKM copier products. Standalone or connected, the META Point Source 3030 digital copier sets the standard for superior image quality and features. The META 3030 digital copier from FKM copier products. Flexible acquisition and support programs for optimum performance. More choices, better choices. META from FKM copier products.
You want quality eyeglasses backed with a 1-year guarantee, ready with new lenses offered in 30 minutes. Call or visit the best place to shop, Eye Center Optical. Let us custom fit your lenses in designer frames from Gucci, Donna Karan, Christian Dior, and more. We also offer a great selection of Verilux lenses. Eye Center Optical makes lenses while you wait. An excellent selection and a 1-year guarantee. You can't do better. Visit us in Laguna Hills, next to the Laguna Hills Mall, or call us at 951-1457.
On his next trip to space, Gus Grissom tackled the legacy of Liberty Bell head-on. He nicknamed his new spacecraft the unsinkable Molly Brown, but only after NASA vetoed calling it the Titanic. Despite the hatch incident, NASA entrusted Grissom with command of the first mission in Project Gemini.
I guess he felt like he was the forgotten man when he was in between Shepard and Glenn. No one ever talked about Gus. And so Gus said, I think I'll make a name for myself with Gemini.
Grissom's partner for the trailblazing two-man flight was Navy pilot John Young. Young was part of a growing corps of rookie astronauts that included Neil Armstrong and Gene Cernan, destined to be the first and last men to walk on the moon.
I was just a young naval aviator, which thrust into a cadre, a group of guys, probably the most competitive human beings in the entire world. Found myself walking the halls with the likes of Al Shepard, John Glenn, Wallace Shaw, Gus Grissom, Slate, and the others. And sometimes I had asked myself what I was doing here among these guys. Gus was always sort of aloof. It was almost as if Gus didn't have time for the new kids on the block. Gus was too busy heading back into space.
4 years after Liberty Bell 7, Gus Grissom prepared to make history again as the first man to visit space twice. 9:24 a.m.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
The first of 10 Gemini missions headed for orbit.
0. Roger pitch. You're on your way, Molly Brown.
Gene Cernan remembers his first blast-off in Gemini.
The first stage lasted 2.5 minutes or so, and that's when the revelation of the fact that you were riding on a rocket really came home to me, because we were pushed back in our seats maybe 4.5 times the weight of gravity, so it was hard even to lift your hands off your chest to get to the controls. And then that first stage shut down. I mean, it was just roaring, and you felt like, here you go, and you're just going to blast out into the universe somewhere.
90 minutes into the flight, Gus took a critical step on the road to the moon. Firing Molly Brown's thrusters, he eased into a different orbit. For the first time ever, a space traveler had changed course, proving that man could navigate on this new ocean. While Project Mercury tested man's ability to survive in space, Gemini was about learning to fly, developing the skills needed to go to the moon. Grissom's pinpoint orbital maneuvers set the stage for later flights, missions that would perfect rendezvous and docking techniques, and extravehicular activities, like Ed White's historic spacewalk during Gemini 4. After splashdown, Gus was determined to prevent a repeat of the hatch incident. Molly Brown stayed locked tight. even when 6-foot waves made the test pilot lose his lunch. The flawless mission at last confirmed Grissom's status as an American hero. Now Gus set his sights on the moon and command of a spaceship called Apollo 1. Finally, after days of confusion and doubt.
Okay, it's coming up on your port side, 10 degrees to the port.
Repeated analysis and recalculation of sonar and navigation data.
Another 5 degrees port, still 50 feet out.
Now, at last, the coordinates for the elusive Target 71 begin to line up with video from the bottom.
080, dead ahead.
Liberty Bell 7.
I'm going to come at it from a different angle.
Oh, that's just a snap. Yeah, more from the left.
Look how clean that top ring is.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
It's incredible. It's beautiful. It's so clean. Everywhere.
Right there is
breathless. Takes your breath away. Absolutely breathless.
Now the next thing is I want to touch it. Seeing is one thing, but touching is another. So hope they bring it up pretty soon. And gets our hand on. It looks in pretty good shape. Even the telescope looks pretty good.
Where were you when you last touched it?
About 55 minutes before liftoff. That's when we were ready to go. Oh, now that's a good view. Okay, now this thing, yeah. All right. See, this is the thing we need to get out of.
That's the old snap hook. See the snap, recovery line.
The next thing I want to do is grab that hook again. Last time we touched it was pre-flight, about 30 minutes before it went down.
That's a good picture.
What a shot.
Kurt has built 3 special clamps that must be fitted onto the capsule's top ring.
Obviously, be as gentle as you can.
The operation calls for a delicate touch, like doing surgery by remote control on a patient miles away.
Easy. Easier than that. Almost there, man.
You want it right in here?
Yeah, right on the other side of that. Right there. Get just forward of that structure right there. That's a good spot. Maybe bring it back towards you a little bit, but
wait a minute. Don't do anything.
Right, that's perfect. Right. Oh, damn. Just
right there.
Right there.
Say when.
Okay, start turning.
One false move and the arm of the ROV could punch right through Liberty Bell's hull.
Okay, don't go too far.
Don't go too far, or just go on around again. Okay, let's try again.
Gotta check it, make sure it's all right, but it looks pretty good. And it's in the right position around the top. I mean, it's
Just try and do it nice and easy.
right. Take it back a little bit. So you're rotating around it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a little
that
more.
looks beautiful.
Just a little bit more. It's got to go a little more. Oh, that's even better right there.
Jeez,
why is it so slow?
It's about 2,000 turns long. I'll never do this. I'll die first.
It's side loaded. That's why it's turning like
I'll
that.
die first. Well,
Nothing you can do about it, man. You're doing all right. You're doing the best you can.
Great job.
You're doing good. It's another 150 50 more like that, and we'll be set.
The clamps mate perfectly with Liberty Bell's top ring. But joints weakened by 38 years soaking in salt water could shear away, leaving Kurt with nothing but the top ring. Before latching on the recovery line, Steve and Rich must link up a 3-point harness. If they succeed in hauling up the capsule, there's still one last and potentially deadly challenge. The escape hatch wasn't the only explosive device on Grissom's capsule. Liberty Bell 7 was also carrying a bomb.
All this month, check out what's happening on the inside.
There's a lot of medevacs, smashed hands, head injuries, concussions.
Monday through Friday, a different story.
The weapons are getting more sophisticated. Bad guys are getting smarter.
A different perspective.
Jason, on all that you have right now, okay?
We were told not to look up or our heads would be blown off.
In the series that takes you on the inside.
I'd like to welcome you to the Universal Studios Hollywood.
This is the hottest ride in the world, and I'll be back.
December premieres all this month.
Very nice.
Go behind the scenes and get the story from on the inside. Every weeknight at 8 Eastern and Pacific on the Discovery Channel.
Leather, adrenaline, the new Lincoln LS. Where it's going may not be as surprising as where it comes from.
You're watching the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
It's the most remarkable garage in the world. The garage that invented an industry, that reinvented work with a few simple rules. Work quickly, no bureaucracy, just invent. For 6 decades, this garage has been the workshop of the world's inventors. It will be still, because the company that began in this garage will return to the rules of this garage. Watch.
You are watching the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
Good financial decisions require expertise. Life needs flexibility. Success demands leadership. If there's something you want to achieve, the principal has one word of advice. Plan ahead, get ahead. The Principal Financial Group.
Long before Grissom's mission, NASA engineers had planned for the possibility of losing a capsule at sea. Each Mercury spacecraft was armed with a depth charge, a SOFAR bomb, designed to detonate deep underwater and blast a sonic beacon to help locate a sunken capsule.
Right here, there's this partition going up.
Liberty Bell's undamaged hull means the SOFAR bomb has never exploded.
This is 1 pound of HBX, probably in a heavy stainless steel case, which would be about the equivalent of 16 hand grenades going off at the same time.
Hugh Cease is a specialist from UXB International. His job, getting rid of bombs.
The explosive exclusion area for this device is about 900 feet. 900 feet. And we've got 184 feet on this vessel, some of which we're using. So there is no way to get out of the exclusion area for this amount of explosives. If it goes off, it'll punch pieces of shrapnel through the capsule and through those Connex boxes back there. So we need at least a quarter-inch steel between the people who are on the ship and the people who are in the back doing the work for frag protection. We're going to stand by during step one. We're going to let you strap it down. I hate to say it, but if somebody gets hurt, you don't want us to get hurt while it's being strapped down, because then we wouldn't be any good for the step that you really need us.
Yeah, that would be removing the shrapnel after it's gone off.
No. That's what the coroner does.
Even after 38 years, Liberty Bell could still be a death trap. In the control van, Kurt oversees the ROV's last act, hooking on the recovery line.
You're golden, Steve.
What?
You're golden. Just hope it hangs together on the way up.
Soon they will learn if the top ring can still bear the weight of the capsule. To unreel the recovery line, the ROV and its cameras must be hauled to the surface, out of the way, leaving Liberty Bell on the bottom, alone and out of sight.
Now we pray.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. See what we see. We've gone fishing. Now we're going to see what we caught.
That's right. We've hooked the big one. Now all we have to do is land.
Yeah.
Preparations are complete. The rest is up to fate. Ed White, first American to walk in space. Roger Chaffee, U-2 spy plane pilot from the Cuban Missile Crisis. Gus Grissom, the first man ever chosen to make 3 trips to space. NASA's first Apollo crew suited up for one last test, a full simulated launch with the command module bolted on top of the Saturn 1B rocket, sealed off and pressurized with pure oxygen.
The day of the fire was a bad day from a test point of view. Everything seemed to go wrong that day. They'd almost decided to cancel the test that day, but they had the spacecraft all ready and they had the pressure system, the environmental control system going, and so they decided, well, we'll go ahead with the test. I sat right there, right up this console. I was sitting there when it happened.
Apollo 1, scheduled to lift off 25 days later, was planned as the first of 6 rapid-fire launches as America raced to put a man on the moon by spring of 1968.
Put the Apollo 1 disaster in focus, I'd say all of us had go fever. We were really committed to going to the moon and back. Not just NASA, the contractors, the politicians, the astronauts, the engineers, the technicians, all of us were hot to trot.
After his triumph in Gemini, Gus was tapped to command Apollo's maiden voyage. While Gus had complete confidence in his crewmates, he had his doubts about the new Apollo command module.
He thought the spacecraft was a lemon. Gus had picked up a California lemon, and I live in California. I know their lemons are big, and hung one on the side of the spacecraft, meaning it was a lemon.
A lot of people have said, well, why didn't he just tell him, I'm not going to do this? But that's not the way of somebody that's trying to work and correct things. You stay with it and you try to make it work. That was the only way Gus would have handled it. I mean, he wouldn't walk away from a problem like that.
Apollo 1 was the most complex aviation vehicle man had ever devised. The command module was a maze of electronics, crammed with 15 miles of wiring. For the astronauts, the greatest flaw in Apollo's design was NASA's attempt to fix the one component that had failed on Liberty Bell 7, the escape hatch.
We didn't like the hatch. We didn't like how long it took to open and close, and we were complaining about that.
Didn't have a real quick opening. It took time and took a lot of force to open this thing, and instead of being pressured in, it was pressured out.
The hatch was closed from the inside, and when the spacecraft was pressurized, it would have taken a herd of elephants to open that hatch.
At 1:19 in the afternoon, Gus and his crew prepared to be locked into a spacecraft filled with pure oxygen. To clear the cabin of any contamination, the capsule would be pressurized, pumped up 15% above normal.
That put us in a position of sitting on the pad in a bomb, pure oxygen at 20 psi. That's a bomb. But we got away with that all through Mercury, and we got away from it all through Gemini, and we got complacent to that danger.
Okay, command pilot, do you read?
Interference made communication a nightmare.
VHF 2 hours turned off. I shouldn't be transmitting at all. You're pretty garbled here, Gus. Senior pilot, can you hear us? I cannot read your box clear. Okay, you're worse than Gus.
6:31 that evening. As communications crackled between capsule and control room, electric current coursed through hundreds of circuits. Beneath Grissom's couch, wires chafed against bare metal. A spark flashed.
You could hear somebody yell, "There's a fire." Somebody else yell, "Get me out of here." And then it was quiet.
Trapped by the hatch, Gus and the crew had no hope of escape. Fueled by pure oxygen, Apollo 1 became a blast furnace. It would be 8 long minutes before the hatch could be opened. For Grissom, Chaffee, and White, the end came in 14 seconds.
Gus Grissom and Ed White and Roger Chaffee lost their lives before they ever even got off the ground. Their booster wasn't even fueled. They were in a pre-launch test.
It shouldn't have happened like that. And I think not that it would have been any easier if it had been in space, but I think you could have understood it a little better.
When the fire happened, that hit me pretty hard. Because when you know these fellows so much, so you know that you're very close to them.
3 good buddies incinerated, but for us, sitting on a live rocket is another day in the office, and it is an occupational hazard that everybody in the business accepts, because the riches to be gained from pressing on are well above any of the risks that you accept.
That's one of those kind of things that you never forget where you were and what you were doing.
Once again, the nation turned to Arlington National Cemetery to mourn fallen heroes. President Johnson and Grissom's family sat side by side in grief. Today, Apollo 1's launch pad stands as a silent relic of the space race. In the aftermath of the deaths of Grissom, Chaffee, and White, the moon program was put on hold. Every aspect of the Apollo command module was scrutinized, every flaw redesigned.
There was a lot of things wrong with that spacecraft, and had the fire not happened, I'm convinced in my own mind we would never have gotten to the moon in the 60s. I think that because we had the fire, because we had the hiatus, because we had the time, we were then able to plow in the lessons learned from Gemini, particularly, into the redesign of the Apollo spacecraft. And I'm convinced that that's what made Apollo successful. So it was a very ironic thing with Grissom. Hatch almost killed him in Mercury Redstone 4 and did kill him in Apollo.
Introducing Power Street, where you could win free trades for life. Visit Fidelity.com for details. Power Street, online trading gets personal. Get in-depth market analysis and stock picks from Lehman Brothers on Power Street. Power Street, online trading at Fidelity.com.
You are watching the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
What are your favorite moments of the millennium? A special time with family? A celebration with friends? Or one of mankind's greatest journeys? Now you can have them all on one special Kodak Picture CD that's yours free. It contains all your Kodak pictures from your latest roll of film, plus excerpts from life's collection of the greatest pictures of the 20th century. Look for this free, limited-time offer at participating Kodak retailers.
You're watching the Discovery Channel.
As where it comes from.
Go behind the scenes into the FBI's ultra-secret crime lab as actual agents explain the techniques and tricks used to capture some of the most elusive killers ever. The FBI Files, coming up next on the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
Would you like to have something to eat? Would you like to have biscuits and meat? Would you like some beans or a bowl of leafy greens? Would you like to have something to eat? Would you like to have pudding or pie? Or a chicken that's ready to fry? Would Would you like some steak or perhaps a piece of cake? Would you like to have something to eat?
The holiday season at Disneyland has a magic all its own. A special time to be with family and friends. Filled with decorations and caroling, special treats, and trimmed in a zillion lights. And new this year, New Orleans Square is all jazzed up with a spicy gumbo of holiday music and entertainment at the merriest place on earth, Disneyland.
Years ago, on this very day, man first landed on the moon. Gus Grissom's Liberty Bell 7 has spent almost 40 years trapped in a place almost as inaccessible as the moon. The bottom of the ocean, 3 miles down. Now, with luck, Liberty Bell is coming home.
Can't see a thing right now. It's raining, raining, raining.
25,000 feet of Kevlar line reels in at barely a foot per second. That adds up to 7 hours to haul Liberty Bell to the surface. Then the line goes slack.
It's tough.
What's the concern here?
Well, we thought we lost it there for a minute, but it was just on the top of a swell, and we just got a little slack and some heave in the line. It looks like we still got it. I don't want to lose it now.
How you holding up?
I'll tell you in about 20 minutes.
This is the exciting part.
By 2:12 a.m., the wait is almost over.
200 foot. Not too much longer now.
14 years. Kurt's quest and his career hang on the end of a 1/4-inch Kevlar line.
telling me, let's go ahead and touch it after 38 years. There's the famous hatch that we closed 38 years ago. In real good shape. We can pull this out. The forward hatch has come down, so it make it easier to get to the sulfur bomb.
We should be able to look right up and see that bomb.
Amid the rush to celebrate, Liberty Bell is still armed and dangerous.
Well, see, that's all open now.
Yeah, I know, because it rained out.
I'm not doing any work.
No,
These people are gone.
I know. I just wanted you to look at it. That's all, to see if you thought you had good access.
I will.
Okay.
Get these people out of here.
Let me get it tied down.
Explosives expert Hugh Cease takes control of the capsule. While the bomb squad goes to work, the rest of the crew head for cover.
Financial goals require solutions. Dreams deserve dedication. Success demands performance. If there's something you want to achieve, the principal has one word of advice. Plan ahead, get ahead. The Principal Financial Group.
You are watching the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
Who is it?
It's me, influenza. You know, the flu. Coming in.
He's influenza.
How are you?
And he'll make you miserable with symptoms like fatigue, high fever, cough, headache, and body aches.
People say I have an infectious laugh. What do you think?
Introducing Relenza, a new prescription medicine to help you start feeling better sooner. The virus that causes the flu lives in the lungs.
Go away.
If you think you have symptoms of the flu, talk to your doctor right away.
I'm not bugging you, am I?
Relenza is an antiviral medicine that's inhaled. You should be shown how to use the inhaler. Those with chronic lung disease or asthma may experience wheezing and should consult their doctor. Side effects occurred in 3% or less of patients and included nausea, diarrhea, and sinusitis.
Soup. Yeah, that'll do the trick. Soup.
If your doctor says it's influenza, ask about Relenza.
You're watching the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
All right.
Bye.
You ever gonna get that present to Sue?
Yeah, Sue.
You ever gonna get that present to Sue?
You gonna pose for me now?
The new Kodak Advantix camera. So sleek, so small.
What are you doing here? Sue!
So easy.
This is a great camera. Did you know that I wanted one of these for my birthday?
The toughest part is giving it away.
You are watching the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
Leather, adrenaline, the new Lincoln LS, Motor Trend Car of the Year.
5,000 miles from civilization. A 20,000-year-old question has finally been raised.
There is a very large animal here.
Liberty Bell and the explosives team have the deck to themselves. Only remote cameras are on hand to record the search for the SOFAR bomb.
The only place it can be is behind that liner or down there. I'm gonna look down there.
Probing the dark for a pound of explosives, more powerful than dynamite.
This has not gone off. This is armed, unexploded. I need a GPS mark. We're about to let this thing over the side.
Thank you. We have green deck. No more hazard.
After the all clear, the team crowd in to explore the remarkable find.
Pretty much unbelievable. I mean, you wouldn't believe that you could pull something like that out of the water after 38 years. That's really remarkable. Let me go take a quick picture inside. This is incredible. Been a long time coming. Got a little work to do on it, though. A little more corrosion inside than expected, but boy, it looks great, though.
Max Airy, president of the Kansas Comosphere Museum, will lead the restoration of Liberty Bell.
The dimes, Mercury dimes, this was kind of the emblem for the Mercury program where the Mercury had dimes. They were souvenirs. Almost all the astronauts carried personal little memorabilia with them. This is a fantastic find. I can't wait to get in here further because I think we're probably going to find quite a few more.
Well, we saw the pilot observer camera, where actually one of the spools, film spools from the pilot observer camera. You can see the film laying out, so that's history.
Only the pilot camera could have captured the moment the hatch blew. The ruined film ends any hope of resolving the mystery.
What do you feel, Jim?
Great. We've got it back. But it's a good-looking spacecraft.
What's that, Jim?
That's the other end of our helicopter.
It still works.
We all be done. Good design.
Good design. Good American ingenuity.
We all did. What a team. What an effort.
By dawn, the capsule has been lashed down in a temporary holding tank. Time and the sea have taken their toll, but Liberty Bell endures. A missing link in the history of space exploration.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Gus certainly had the right attitude. He realized the risk, and yet he was willing to take it because he believed in what he was doing.
In my mind, he is a hero and not unsung, because I think that what he did and what the other guys did was what we stepped on to go to the moon.
There had been a sort of a tentative agreement with NASA that if at all possible, the first man on the moon would be one of the original 7. Dick Slayton indicated that if Gus had lived, he would have probably been the first man on the moon.
Just 8 years after Grissom's first flight, Project Apollo fulfilled the promise of man in space. The exploration of the moon was a triumph shared by people around the globe. A triumph built on the achievement of men like Gus Grissom and the flight of Liberty Bell 7.
I think he'd be happy. Yes, I hope he would be, because, you know, he was the one who said it was the only thing he ever lost. And now it's not lost. So I think he'd be pleased. At least I like to think he'd be pleased. We brought it back for him, for everybody. We didn't solve any mysteries, but that's not really at least what I set out to do. The whole thing was about getting it back, and we got it back. That's the main thing.
In an incredible coincidence, today, 38 years to the day after Grissom first rocketed into outer space, Liberty Bell 7 returns to Cape Canaveral. Waiting on the docks is Gus's younger brother, Lowell Grissom. The spacecraft arrives cradled in a steel cocoon. On the last stage of Liberty Bell's epic journey, this converted boiler will be filled with salt water to stabilize the capsule's condition. "38 years ago, Lowell Grissom was among the throng of observers who watched Liberty Bell streak into the heavens. Today, he is among the first to welcome the long-lost spacecraft home.
I think Gus would be really pleased to see Liberty Bell back home. It's the only craft that he didn't bring back. Think about Gus and all of the things that he did and all that he accomplished, and he was a tremendous individual. Super engineer, skilled, experienced test pilot, actually the astronaut's astronaut. Quite a guy. Such an exciting moment. I know he'd be pleased, very pleased to see it back.
There went positive grade. Capsule has separated. We are at 0G and turning around, and the sun is really bright.
Though he never made it to the moon in person, Gus is there. On the far side of the moon, there is a crater named Grissom, the ultimate tribute to a man who gave his life reaching for the stars.
Oh, boy. It's such a fascinating view out the window, you just can't help but look out that way. And I see a star.
They said it would never be found, but you've just seen astronaut Gus Grissom's space capsule recovered from the sea, and now it can make its final journey into your home. Get the whole story of the dramatic search for Liberty Bell 7. Own it today. For only $29.95 plus shipping and handling, you can become part of the adventure. Have the search for Liberty Bell 7 delivered to your door, including never-before-seen footage. Call 1-800-871-0990 to order, because there's no thrill like discovery.